So if you don't mind, why don't you kick it off and tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, there were a lot of great professional moments before KORTX, but I give a lot of credit to my time back at Grand Valley State University. And I worked at the Grand Valley Lanthor, which is a school newspaper. And Eric Lee, my business partner here at KORTX, he was actually the business manager of the paper and gave me the opportunity to be a part-time sales guy and part-time newspaper delivery person. So I helped actually manage the distribution of the paper. And there was a customer I remember that gave me our first print ad. It was kind of a full page unit that ended up actually having like a companion banner with it. And at that time, digital wasn't really anything that was prioritized or highlighted. This was really before any heavy social pushes. Meta and Facebook had just come out at the time, and it was much more of just the social network. And advertising was really an afterthought. But it was really cool to kind of be a part of the early stages of digital advertising. And that started to lead me through my career, going to GVSU and having a marketing and business background. I was really interested in just the world of marketing and understanding the different components of it. And like most people, I think you either start on the agency side, you go on the brand side, or you kind of find a vendor type position. And I actually landed in the staffing and recruiting side of the world. So I was working with agencies to help place art directors and copywriters, and I was really interested in understanding how that relationship played out, and had an opportunity to move into a sales role with another organization, and ultimately ended up at AddThis. And that company, we had a really nice run, had some great client relationships that we developed here in the Midwest. That company was acquired by Oracle, but really where we're at the time, it was kind of a real tipping point to figure out what we wanted to do with our careers. We were going through an acquisition. Myself and many others had got let go. And we had customers that were still looking to, look for our similar services. And that led to the opportunity to get KORTX off the ground.
Awesome. So you founded the company with two others, Eric and Damon. Tell me a little bit about the initial vision for KORTX and how it has evolved over the years.
The initial vision, I think, was an oh shit moment. 20-something years old, not having a paycheck, worrying about rent, and figuring out what we're going to do next. So I had a previous relationship with Damon. Had some customers that were looking for the continuation of advertising support. Damon and I sat down with Eric, and we just tried to figure out the best way to support those individuals with a few ad buys. We thought it was going to be a short-term thing. Quite honestly, we didn't know if we'd make it more than a few months. And pretty quickly, we started to see that there was a real opportunity to help with education in the marketplace. And that's always been a core pillar of KORTX and our success, is helping people understand all the complexities that are going on in the world of marketing and advertising. What does that mean to them? What does that mean to their business? And how do we help empower them to make the right decisions? And that over time, I think, has really developed into a business model that, with Damon's background as an engineer, Eric as a product kind of visionary, we have now found ways to bring in software, to bring in creative solutions, and really a holistic media approach that many of our clients kind of love to have as a fully managed service offering. Where we're going moving forward, I think there's a lot of that, but just as the changes, even recently here in Detroit, General Motors causing a bit of disruption with their AOR partnerships and looking for a more dynamic model. We feel really, really strong that, we can work with our existing agency partners as a support function and really help out with media execution, creative development, analytics, or for those brands and those marketers that want to pull us in directly, whether that be project-based, collaborating with other agencies that they have partnerships with, or really forming as more of an AOR. That kind of dynamic nature of our business has allowed us to be really, really nimble. And I think as we continue to focus on emerging trends in the industry and the bigger picture of what is happening in the world of marketing and advertising, the relationship that brands still have with their customers and customer databases is still the most important in terms of messaging and understanding what really motivates and interests them and us as kind of partners behind the scenes. How do we help with that connective tissue? And how do we make sure that we're really good shepherds of our customers' budget, and also being very mindful of the relationships that they're trying to develop with their customer base?
Great. So obviously co-founder, chief revenue officer, you've walked us through a little bit about your background, but tell us about a typical day for you. What does it look like at KORTX?
An ideal day or a typical day? No, I think we've done a really nice job. Like a lot of startups in the early years, there was a lot of control that we wanted to have over decisions and making sure that we had final sign off on every little detail. And you learn very quickly that you cannot move and grow in a fashion that really aligns with your vision if you are always kind of living in the day-to-day of decision making. And I think for us, being able to trust the leadership team and the managerial team that we have here now. A lot of our work is helping support those cross-functional efforts. And now more than ever, I spend a lot of time with Damon and Eric kind of sitting and thinking about the future of the business. And in our three different disciplines, that means something different to each one of us. And really for me, being more and more focused with being out in front and talking to our customer base, that's where I'm spending a lot more of my time. And then obviously working with you in the marketing group, telling our story has been really important. I think for a number of years, we shied away from what we do and really why we believe people should work with us. We love to really be that firm that is trusted for brands that want to cause some disruption. They're aspirational, they're challengers. They want to go after some of the bigger players in the space. And usually they're doing that at a fraction of the budget or the resources that some of those major leaders in the space are. And for us to come in and kind of help them do more with a lot less, that's a project and a problem that we're trying to solve every day.
That was going to be my next question. I mean, obviously starting a company comes with its own set of challenges. The industry is constantly changing and evolving. You spoke to the GM, shake up as an example, but biggest challenge in your role, what would you say?
I think biggest challenge is just now more than ever, you feel like you're more connected, but actually less connected with customers at the same time. And for us getting back into market and being front and center and talking to current customers and prospective customers, that I think just getting more face time has been one of the biggest challenges. And again, articulating our story and making sure that our product from a technological perspective, as well as from a media perspective, is at least addressing and beginning to meet the needs that are 6 to 9 to 12 months out from now. We can't predict the future, but that's certainly our responsibility to be very conservative with how we're kind of investing our funds as a smaller organization. But also we need to continue to innovate. We need to be mindful of what the industry is asking us to do. And again, when I go back to some of the competitors that we're up against, we're just like our customers in a lot of situations. We want to be the disruptors. We want to be the biggest in the space. So it's a delicate balance between the two. I'd say that's probably the biggest challenge we have right now.
Awesome. Thank you. You founded the company and it was you, Damon, and Eric. I think I was maybe the 7th employee. I was with you guys in a pretty different office setting at the time. I would say you guys came from some humble beginnings. So now you're 55 plus we have at the company. So speak to me a little bit about the culture.
I think culture, you want to sit and talk about how you represent it, how you define it. There's words that can be chosen. But to me, I always love just reflecting back on team events and the way that people carry themselves on a daily basis with our customer engagements. Given the advancements of technology, we have some great tools that we can sit and we can listen to how meetings go and the way that people are kind of responding, the feedback that we get from customer surveys, but then getting the team together and being in environments where you genuinely see authentic relationships between employees and customers. Like there's a lot to be said about that energy that I think a lot of businesses are looking for. So the culture that we originally started at KORTX, I think was just like get shit done. I think a lot of startups live that way. We still operate in a lot of that mindset today, and just waking up every day knowing that I have something that I need to accomplish for my counterparts, for my clients, for other employees in the company, for other stakeholders that have an interest in KORTX. It's certainly about getting up and doing your job and being most effective as possible, but it's also just a responsibility. Like we play a pretty significant part in the community and a lot of folks' lives that if we do not succeed, that means they're not succeeding in a lot of different ways, personally and professionally. And I think really for myself and Eric and Damon, kind of having roots that as younger kids, as teenagers growing up, there was never really an opportunity where something's kind of just given to you. You have to earn your way in, whether that be professionally or for sports. There's a foundation of athletes at KORTX, which I think is something that you see in the mentality and the way that we work and we operate and the way that people collaborate and trust each other, that it's definitely bigger than an individual. There's really a team mindset. And as we have kind of formally rolled out our values in the organization, to me, the opportunity 2 years ago to invite the employees in to really participate in that and make sure that we were reflecting them accordingly. So do the work, keep refining, make things easy, and communicate with purpose. Like those are really reflective of the way that we started the company back when it was just the 3 of us to the 7 of us to the 15 and so on. And that the hiring process, and to speak to HR and what Lori McNamara and her team have done here, it's being very mindful of what is successful for KORTX, what is successful for a a media and integrated advertising company in Southeast Michigan. And many of us really love the cultural experiences that we have from being a part of Detroit. And I think that fabric of how the city has really been resilient over the years, a lot of that is tied into our culture and how we operate on a daily basis.
Yeah, and it's cool to see we have a peer recognition program, X Factor. It's cool to see those core values every day. People are recognizing one another using those 4 core values. So great to see.
Yeah.
We talked about the culture a little bit. Obviously, you founded the company. You're a busy guy. You're a dad. You run marathons. You like to go to the lakes in Michigan. How do you do it all? How do you find balance?
I don't think I'm different than any other parent in the world or anybody that has, different priorities that they're focused on. For my wife and I, there's always been a understanding that our relationship comes first, our marriage comes first, and making sure that we prioritize time for us. And our faith and our family has been a really big piece of that. And over the years, we've been very fortunate to have, as the company's gone on, my parents have always been extremely supportive, and now that means helping out with the kids along the way. But I think, there's a lot of different mindsets and tricks in terms of how you should schedule your day. I know there's some folks that they think of their days in thirds, and I have to accomplish X, Y, and Z, and that's how I handle it. To me, I just really understand that I have a small amount of time with my children, and getting home at the end of the day or logging off a computer to me is being really intentional with that. And if that's from 5 to 7, or if that's from 6 to 8:30, whatever that might be, like, that's family time, and work can kind of live around that. So to me, that's been really big. As far as just my interests, I love golf. Not a great golfer, but get out as much as we can here. We obviously have a limited season in Michigan, but yeah, to me, golf's a funny game. It's so humbling. It's something that you continue to chase. And I think for me, just the same way I look at business and accomplishments, getting out on a golf course, like, something unique about every shot you hit, you have to deal with the result. And now you're in a situation to kind of think through, what's my strategy, how I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to have to deal with the next outcome again. There's no redos. And if you're playing with your buddies, maybe you take a mulligan. But, for most of us, you hit the ball, you're dealing with that. And I think that's really representative of life and how we have all tried to really kind of live through the changes here at KORTX through COVID. And even as lifestyles have changed from being, myself as a single bachelor when we started the company to, a husband with 2 kids and another one on the way.
Yeah, you're a busy guy, but somehow you balance it all, which is really cool to see.
I'll take this opportunity to give credit to every working mother in the world, because it's not me. It's I know it's my wife. She's the one who keeps the family sane and moving in the right direction, everybody healthy and fed. I'm just a part of the ride.
Super women. Awesome. Well, leave us with this, I guess. Started KORTX, you, Damon, and Eric. There were 7 of us. Now there's over 55 of us. It's been really cool to see. KORTX has been on the Inc. 5000 multiple times. Great place to work. Some really, really cool accolades and accomplishments over the years. So what would you like to see happen over the next 5 years? What are your goals for the company?
We've pretty continually felt that we have an opportunity to disrupt the mid-market. A lot of our mid-market customers are independent agencies or brands that sit outside of the Fortune 5000. And for me, growth and success, if we're able to win with brands in the way that brands want to evolve with their agency relationships, that means that we can grow, the employee base here at KORTX, giving different opportunities to build new products and have different software services that are available. That's really where I'd love to see things go. We talk a lot about being a data-driven organization. I think everybody also just, very specific in our industry is kind of chasing the idea that I want to have a one audience everywhere mindset. I want to be able to understand a consumer regardless of if they're spending time within walled ecosystems or the open web. And I very intimately want to understand how I can market them, all while being, data compliant with all of our different privacy restrictions that are currently in place, and being mindful of the consumer process and how folks are discovering brands and how they want to be interacting with them over time. For us, I think we have a real opportunity to help our customers unlock a lot of the uncertainty around their data and how they should be using it and best practices, while simultaneously being very mindful of consumer privacy. The other piece, I think everybody's talking about AI in some way, shape, or form. There's no doubt that it's an extremely powerful tool. There's many folks that are claiming, it's the next industrial revolution, which you see the power of some of these things. It is amazing, and seeing what it can do and the potential that it has. For us, I think we want to embrace it, and it's important to understand how we can leverage it as part of our workflow. But that doesn't replace human beings. It doesn't replace the personalities and the characters that really have made this place super successful. And, across marketing as a whole, I hope that's something that we don't get too reliant upon. Like, still having great ideators and people that are building out awesome creative messaging and thinking of new ways to inspire and tell brand stories. That, to me, is something that we really all need to continue to embrace and keep in mind as we progress forward.
For sure. The human touch, still important.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate you joining us for our special edition of Meet the KORTX team.
Thanks. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.